Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Round 12 of the Midwest F1 League calendar being held at the Suzuka International Racing Course in Japan. Hotspot with you on the call tonight for this Division 1 clash at this 5.8-kilometer circuit, which features 18 corners, one lone DRS zone, and the only figure-of-eight configuration in Formula 1. Biggest challenge for these Division 1 contenders today will be keeping it clean through the Sector 1 S's and also avoiding track limits as well. Div 1 put on a stellar performance in the last couple visits here, actually, so let's hope if let's see if they can match that one today. Hotspot once again on the call here in Division 1. It has been a while since I've been here in Division 1. Very excited to be back, and what a season that they've been having so far, headlined by our new captains isn't the right word. The new talent coming out of the broadcast team out of Mitch and Nick. Those guys are putting on one hell of a casting performance, as well as Infinite Gamer doing it really well as well. So I'm really glad to be in the same broadcast team as those lot. We're here in Suzuka. In real life, free practice 1 will start in about an hour's time. That's 10:30. Currently 9:35 at the moment, so just under an hour. But something looks different here. I'll give you 3 guesses. And if your guess was that we're back on multiplayer cars, well, you'd be right. The game has done itself a wrongin' once again. Hang on a minute. And, well, looking like, according to the Discord that I'm looking at now, we are expecting rain come the race. I tell you what, though, the good news is, regarding the player car liveries, we do now have a lot of the teams releasing liveries that can be applied to player car, as, for instance, we're on here with NLR Mackie in his Williams, the bolder-than-bold livery, and I have to say, that one looks absolutely striking out on track. I can't wait to see who's out next. I know the Mercedes of Kate Thomas has put together a really solid-looking livery as well. I believe the Haas driver as well, I think of Race Day, has actually put together a really good one. Also looking very much like the Haas livery. Next out on track, looks like we're going to have the Aston Martin of Scornsey. Yes, it is. Bonjour, Quebec. Interesting. What kind of they... Scornsey out on track in his Aston Martin. While we have a minute here, let's take a look at the driver standings. As before we do that, let's look at, well, it's Fireballer. And what I would assume is the other... No, that looks like an Alpine to me. Kind of. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to say Alpine. I'm not quite sure. But, yeah, so anyways, we're back along here with Mackie. Let's go over our drivers and constructor standings. Right now, Scornsey leads the table. 10:23 to Aero Racing Designs, 9:67. Lancey, 8:45. Race Day, 8:15. Edwin, 7:99. Posh Josh, 7:68. Houdini, 7:45. Fireballer, 7:41. VTech, 7:37. And Nicky rounding out the top 10 at 713. As far as the relegation battle, Johnny Damon looks to be in quite the hole at the moment. Helgelin in there as well, and NLR Mackie will need some work to do. Well, Mackie's actually part of the Aston Martin team, but he's racing the Williams Gulf livery. I am officially confused. As according to Scavney, yep, he's giving me confirmation now, full wet racing here in Division 1. Let's see what NLR Mackie has to offer, as he'll be the first car around the timing line for a competitive lap here. As yes, don't let it confuse you. NLR Mackie is an Aston Martin driver. He's piloting the Williams with their livery. Yeah, this is incredibly confusing. Anyways, through the Sector 1 S's now. I tell you what, we say this a lot when it comes to these corners in particular. You do... that was quite a bit of a slip there. You do tend to take these corners differently every time. That part is definitely true. Through the Dunlop curve into Degner 1 and 2. He's handled that one nicely for sure. Degner 2, well, he's gone quite wide. His exit may have suffered there a little bit into the hairpin corner. This is a fun one in the race. You can kind of get a couple different lines going through it, make some overtakes. That's a very good spot to make it happen. Out of the hairpin through 200R now. Heading up towards the spoon curve. Very difficult corner as well. This double apex. He's gone wide. Does he hold on to it? Yes, he does. Not only does he hold on to the lap, or the car, I was going to say, he probably could have held on to the lap because he did not invalidate, but he chooses to back out of this one, as I believe he's on low fuel anyways. That was Houdini in front of him. Who do we have next up on a time lap? I believe might be Scornsy, although can we look at... I have little to know. Oh, we got someone who's gone off there. That looks like GSR Edwin in the Mercedes, I think, has gone. I think he's had a little bit of a slip there. Let's go along with Scornsy. He's putting in a time lap right now, making his way into the KCO Triangle out of 130R. Oh, and I think what I'm assuming is the Haas there. It may have been race day. Yeah, it was race day. He has definitely gotten in the way of Scornsy there, I believe, heading into the KCO Triangle. He puts down a 128.156. Scornsy, I think, can definitely put together a better lap than that. Fireballer goes across the line, 131.094. Next across the line, it's a yellow one. I believe it's that of Shirai. No, Lancey. Yeah, Lancey's going to be starting one. Lancey with a Red Bull livery. That one looking nice in the Miami-themed Red Bull livery. The Dutchman will be starting one here, kind of on. We got a Dutchman driving the Dutch-themed, well, not themed, but Max Verstappen's number one. As he makes his way in through the S's now. Let's see how he holds them. Very nice so far. This is where we saw Mackie get the oversteer the first time round, and I tell you what, Lancey's held it pretty well up through the Dunlop curve. Should anyone spin the car up here, as Kelly Robb goes 128.022, that puts him... I'd say over a tenth back to Scornsy, yep, just about a tenth and a half. But should anybody lose the car atop those Dunlop curves, atop the Dunlop curve, it is a blind corner after all. That one may claim some cars when it comes to the racing. We've even seen that in the qualifying session as well. Posh Josh goes third, 2.5 tenths off the pace so far, along with Lancey making his way into the spoon curve now. Tell you what, so far I have no complaints with this lap. I think it's looking really good. Down the back stretch he goes, making his way to 130R. Purple sector 2 from him so far, holds it nicely. Absolutely wide open here as he makes his way into the KCO Triangle. Oh, that was a big slip on entry. The back end of the car has come around. That may have hurt him for what otherwise was looking like a rather perfect lap. 127.815. Lancey goes provisional pole by 0.2 of a second, as next up to the line looks like it's not the Haas of race day. I think it might be Scavney, actually. No, it wasn't Scavney, but he's going to be making his way around here shortly. And what I think is supposed to be a Ferrari, if I'm correct. I'm just going to kind of forget about... Oh, there's Nicky on the new Alpine livery that's come out. That's good news. So we kind of have some idea of what this is. Oh, goodness me. This is just... Let's see. Do we have Houdini and... What's Houdini in here? Well, very America, if that's the case. Houdini driving for the McLarens. I think he's just driving for Zach Brown there, perhaps, but Cake Thomas has invalidated his attempt. Next around the corner, I believe it's Mackie who's going to be coming on an outlap here and starting a flyer. As we begin now, Mackie, I tell you what, was on pace for a pretty solid one. Had a bit of a slip going through the spoon curve in his previous timed attempt, so let's go along with him here. I think he may actually have potential to give this a really good effort. Well, he's gone wide out of the first corner. On the exit curb, he's gone all 4 tires over the white line, but the game has said no, and he continues on through the S-curves. No sight of oversteer that time through the S's. Up through the Dunlop curve, looks pretty tidy. Zegner 1 and 2 took that one very nicely. This is where he lost time the first go-round, and I think he's done all right there. Could have been better, could have been worse through the second Degner. Into the hairpin he goes, the Aston Martin driver in the Williams car. Looks like Posh Josh was able to put a lap within 3/100ths of a second of our provisional pole sitter of Lancey. Posh Josh has been on a tear this season as Mackie now through the hairpin corner. Not the hairpin, the spoon. Yeah, I tell you what, I think it has to be said, Mackie's doing a pretty solid lap here. And, well, that is his first timed attempt. Cali Rob goes 127.700. Puts Lancey back a tenth. Solid lap there from Cali Rob. Into the KCO triangle goes NLR Mackey. Let's see what he has. So the line goes Mackey. Oh, I tell you what, that's a good lap. It's a 127.590. Now puts 1/10 back to Cali Rob. So I tell you what, very competitive here. As Cali Rob in what I'm assuming is a Ferrari. It's so difficult to tell, man. Yes. Let's go through this. Let's go through this now. I'm looking at our point standings. Scornsey and Mackey are the two Aston Martins. Scornsey driving a very Aston Martin-looking car. Mackey not so much. He's in the Williams livery. We've got Aero Racing Design, and is it just Aero Racing Design, or is it Got Palmer and Ray Ray? I think it's supposed to be Got Palmer and Ray Ray. Yeah. So Got Palmer and Ray Ray in the Williams. Although I don't believe. Well, Got Palmer is here. So, do we have 3 drivers using the Williams livery? Yes, we do. Aero Racing Design and Nicky64 are 2 Alpine drivers. Aero Racing Design and Nicky using their the Alpine livery, I believe, slated to make an appearance this weekend here in Suzuka. As Aero Racing Design goes P3, 127.757. Within 0.2 of a second of the top 2. Very solid lap there from Aero. Lancey and Shariah Coleslaw in the Red Bull. Race Day and Posh Josh in the Haas. Edwin in the Mercedes. Edwin and Cake in the Mercedes. Houdini and Helgeland supposed to be in the McLaren. Which, Houdini in the American-looking car, and then Helgeland is not here, I want to say. Yeah, not here. Let's see. Fireballer. And what I'm assuming... Oh, I'm not actually quite sure what that is. Fireballer and Gunnar Addy in the 2 supposed to be AlphaTauri drivers. Scavany and Cali Rob in the Ferrari, and then VTEC and Electric Blade in our Alfa Romeos, although... Yeah, VTEC's already retired from the session. Electric Blade currently sits P13. I think I got through all the teams there. If I haven't, correct me. Scornsey currently has Purple Sector 1, making his way into the hairpin corner now. Quite a tight top 5 here. Posh Josh only a 1/4 of a second off provisional pole. And everybody within them, everybody above within that. And that's P5 and above. And then that first second goes down to P10. Which is held by Scavany at the moment. Scornsey making his way through Sector 2 at the moment. 5.5 minutes remaining here. Well, we have a minute. Let's look at our constructors as well, as Scornsey goes 6.5 of a second faster through the second sector. He's looking like it's going to be a really solid lap here. Out of the final corner he goes. A little bit slippy on the rear tires then. 127.338 for Scornsey, and then Got Palmer beats it right behind Scornsey then, 6/100ths of a second to 127.274. Scornsey's provisional pole time there lasted maybe 0.3 of a second, because Got Palmer now holds the top spot with under 5 minutes to go. Quick look at the constructor standings, I believe. Alpine on top, 17.11 to Haas's 16.05, Red Bull 15.86. AlphaTauri 15.72, Aston Martin 14.40, Ferrari 13.31, Alfa Romeo only 2 points behind, McLaren 11.61, Williams and Mercedes yet to break the 1,000-point mark here in Division 1. This is post-Singapore, and it looks like has race day perhaps. Well, he's definitely got some oversteer coming out of the hairpin then. I'm wondering if this is a timed lap for him. It kind of looks like it is. Coming out of the spoon here. Looks like he's still on a solid lap. It looks like Helgeland has now joined the session, as we have, I believe, one of the white cars there. Yeah, race day 2.5 slower. This lap isn't going to mean much for him. Although, we find another driver on a timed lap here. believe that was one of the Williams-branded cars then, as what's happened with Scornsy? He's taking it right slow down the back straight here, I believe, just trying to get out of people's way. Is it perhaps Ray Ray that we're looking for? Lancey currently out on track, although 0.2 of a second slower. Well, it's not Ray Ray. Maybe is... I don't even know, man. This is so ridiculous. Anyways. Well, Mickey64 was able to go, I believe, 0.5 of a second quicker. Still sits P16. Next up to the line do we have... Let's go along with Electric Blade while we're here in his Alfa Romeo kick livery. Oh, yeah, that looks great, actually. I tell you what, that looks pretty neat. I do like the... I'll tell you what, I wasn't a big fan of the neon green at first, but that does look pretty nice, actually, as I look at it now. For those of you that paid attention to the 2021 F1 season, it's very reminiscent to... oh, that was a big wiggle then. Good catch. It was very reminiscent to Ferrari having the bright green Mission Winnow advertisement on the back half of the car, and that's I tell you what, it didn't look good then, but Alfa Romeo actually looks pretty neat, I must say. But Electric Blade making his way through the second sector now. Not a lot of time left in the session, only 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's see if Electric Blade can throw together a good one here. Currently resides P17. Not ideal for him. To the timing line he goes. Is currently faster by 6.5 tenths. That'll move him, I think, up to P15. Unless he can pull off a good final sector here. And yeah, I'm going to say he's done okay. So the line goes Electric Blade P11, 128.222, is faster by 9.5 tenths. Moves himself within to the top 15. But, I have to say, that gap from P10 down to P16 within half a second. So that one, that's going to be a good little look for that battle then, as Posh Josh has gone wide out of the first corner and has invalidated this attempt. We've got a minute and a half to go here. Mackie, I guess, is saving up for his final attempt here. Scornsy's on his outlap as well. Got a lot of cars coming out on track. Only 3 reside in the pits, that being Houdini, Nicky, and Gunner. VTEC has already retired from the session. So all but 3 remaining on track. This will be an interesting who gets to the line here, I believe. Do we have... Well, let's go along with race day here. Race day 2016, a driver who has definitely cemented his presence here in Division 1 over these past couple of seasons. And here he goes now on what is sure to be his final attempt. Currently has won 4 races so far this season. The most out of any driver. Next behind him is that of GSR Ryan Rods with 3. Posh Josh has 1 there. Scornsy has 2. Aero Racing Design has 1 at Spain. So Race Days managed to go 5/100ths of a second there faster through Sector 1. Looked okay through the 2 Degners, albeit he did bottom out the car going under the bridge. That may have hurt his time. The curbs aren't necessarily raised here, like you see at, say, Jeddah, which if you do bottom out on the curbs in Jeddah, you're going to be going for a ride. So thankfully, I don't think it's gone that badly for race day, and he's done well through the spoon curve. Tell you what, this looks like a pretty solid lap. Lancey's done all he can. He will finish 3rd at the moment. And Mackey's disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. That is, he's to be found outside of the first corner. Something has happened with him. He's had a spin, I believe, coming out of that first corner. Maybe has he beached the car, and that's the result. Oh, and race day, well, he's decided to pull off the track. And I thought he was on a pretty solid attempt, but I guess he would disagree. So that will end the qualifying attempt for race day. All he can manage is P7 at the moment. Scavney coming through the final corner. What does he have at the line? He'll only manage 9th, 128.071. 5.5 tenths better, but not enough to really make a statement here. It's going to be Cali Rob coming through the final chicane now in the Ferrari, down the hill out of the final corner. To the line goes Cali Robb. This looks a good lap, and he's off a provisional pole by a tenth and a half. Very short as GSR Edwin, 126.981. That's good enough so far for provisional pole. Next across the line, I believe, was Posh Josh. He's gone P6. Behind him, I want to say Shariah's gone P10. Scornsy's gone third. Got Palmer's coming to the line now, and he gets pole by 7/1000ths of a second. 126.974. Beats Edwin in the Mercedes by 7/1000ths of a second. And oh, by the way, track position is going to matter a lot, considering we've got full wet conditions coming up next in the race. It will be Got Palmer on pole. A very close margin between the top two, and then a second separating the rest of the top 9. Got Palmer will be definitely happy with that, because track position on this start is going to be oh so crucial. So what happens here? So your starting grid then. What in the hell is this? Oh, tech level. Oh yeah, that's right. So we're multiplayer cars. Got Palmer on pole in his Williams. Edwin second. Cali Robb third. Scornsy fourth. Lancey fifth. Posh Josh sixth. Air Racing Design seventh. Eighth for Race Day. Slightly disappointing from him. Ninth is Scavney. 10th is Shariah. 11th Electric Blade. 12th Fireball. 13th Cake Thomas. 14th VTech. 15th Houdini. 16th Nikki. 17th Ray Ray. 18th is Gunner. Then unfortunately for Mackey was disqualified after spinning out of the first corner. But very close margins off the start here. Again, track position is going to be incredibly important. Let's see who takes advantage of the full wets here in the race. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we have had ourselves a slight lobby glitch, and we've had ourselves a restart. The wet conditions will still be in effect, and apologize for mentioning it as full wet. It is going to be intermediates. Is what I've noticed. VTech did put apparently a picture of his strategy in the Division 1 chat, and well, his are set as intermediates. Looks like as far as that's concerned, it'll be that intermediate weather the whole time. About lap 13 is when we'll see our first round of stops for those intermediates. Looks like anywhere from 13 laps on, the tires start to degrade quite heavily. So I would assume lap 13 to 15, we'll see that first round of pit stops for those first sets of intermediate tires. It will be consistent rain throughout the Grand Prix. As you can see, it's coming down here. Should be a very interesting Grand Prix. This, despite all the glitches that have been put into place, Formation Lap is on. So, somehow, I mean, we did hear there was a glitch with that, but we did test it in F2 on Tuesday night, and this was after the most recent update, and that set all these glitches into Formation, and it did work quite well then. Didn't have any problems with it, so Formation Lap has stayed on, but I guess, I don't know exactly what the reasoning is behind the multiplayer cars. I'm assuming it's because the tire degradation levels are different amongst the team cars. I remember this was the case when the game had first come out and we had first run that week 1 in Silverstone. You know, some cars were degrading 5% or more than others, and and it goes less as well. So I'm assuming that's what we're looking at here. Could be wrong. You know, but hey, I don't mind the multiplayer cars. I think they're actually pretty cool. Slightly more difficult for me to keep track of, I'll admit that. But tell you what, I don't mind. We got all the special edition liveries on the grid, most of them. So I tell you what, looks cool. You know, I'm quite all right with that. This is another interesting thing, though. When you're in these multiplayer cars, there's not really a set way to know what other driver you share a pit stall with. I guess the hypothesis is that when you're in the lobby, if you're the first one to join, it's the 10th driver after that. or something like that. That's what I've got out of it. What we've tried to figure out. But I mean, that could make a serious impact on somebody's race to have to, double stack with someone that you didn't really know you were going to have to. I'm going to assume, though, it's either going to be Lancey or Shariah Coleslaw down at this front pit box here. You can kind of see the multicolored Red Bull front wing then. So one of those two are going to be taking that first stall, and everyone else, well, it'll be an interesting sight to behold when you come down to the pits, and, maybe we even get the situation where we get the top two in the championship having to share a pit stall. Imagine that, Scornsy coming into a pit stop, and Aero Racing Design is pit ahead of him, and Scornsy's stop gets, gets messed up because Aero Racing Design took the stop ahead of him, and now the pit crew isn't necessarily ready for the double stack. It's a fun little variable to add in this, and it looks like the formation lap is going to be getting underway here. Reminder that Midwest F1 and the entirety of the Esports League is brought to you by Res Energy and Epos Audio. Remember that intermediate tires here to start. We'll be carrying these through the entirety of the Grand Prix. Should be about lap 13 to 15 is when we'll see that stop. So we'll keep it open on the position change. Gott Palmer, remember, took pole position over Edwin. But, well, the in-game leaderboard said 7 1,000ths of a second, but the post-session leaderboard said 8 thousandths of a second. So, but either way, less than 10 1,000ths of a second between these two. At top, and I tell you what, track position is going to be unbelievably important off this line. Track with very little to no overtaking room as it is. Never mind being on the wet, never mind that there's going to be no DRS. This is seriously going to be a tricky race to behold here. Scornsy's in a pretty solid spot, making his way up to P4 in that session, although we'll hope he's able to stay out of trouble on the start. That will also need to be the case for Aero Racing Design. Currently second in the championship. He's starting P8 in his Alpine, with race day on the grid. Not that far away from him, too. Really big contenders in this championship. A little bit further back in the standings. In fact, where is race day in our standings here? He's P4. Lancey P5. Race day P9 on track. Lancey P5 in the standing on track as well. So, I tell you what, we got a good mixture of championship contenders up and down this grid. And it'll be interesting to see how they're able to fare. Race day in the Haas, Aero Racing Design in his pink Alpine. Lancey couldn't miss him in the Red Bull. Scornsy in his very nicely done Aston Martin-esque livery. Callie Robb in the Ferrari. Edwin in, I believe, his Mercedes here, and Gott Palmer. Now, this is interesting. Gott Palmer on pole. He will have the left side of the track on the way into the first corner, so if Edwin gets a good start to his inside, he may very well lose that first spot, and it looks like Edwin has failed to take the grid slot correctly here, as well as Aero Racing Design. I was going to say, look how pointed across the track we have Gott Palmer, pointed right across the front wing of GSR Edwin. And now with Edwin being at a handicap for not finding the grid spot properly, this may be severely difficult for him. But the lights are turning on here in Japan, 3, 4, and 5, and they are off for the 13th round, for the 12th round of the Division 1 season. Gott Palmer did get a much better start. The Ferrari of Callie Robb side by side with Scornsy there as they make their way into the first corner. Gott Palmer has got them by a significant margin. Edwin not far behind, but Scornsy and Callie Robb battling behind them. Scornsy, I thought he was going to lose the car there for a second. It looks as if everybody's made it through okay, as we do have the Alpine of Aero Racing Design battling here with that of Posh Josh and the Haas. But it looks as if everybody's going okay so far. Mackey up in P6. Although I thought he got disqualified off in the qualifying session, but I'm not quite sure. Oh, and I tell you what, well, either way, Mackey has gone straight into the back of Lancey there. I tell you what, just when you expect everything to kind of get off to an okay start, and we do have a very big incident between those two. Front wing scattered about the track. But it looks like we're going to stay green here as Scott Palmer has the lead by half a second over Edwin Scornsey. Really breathing down the neck of Edwin here as they make their way through the spoon curve. And Callie Robb not that far behind either as they make their way in towards Sector 3 now. For the most part, oh, that was quite the wiggle for Scornsey there. I'm thinking that exit curve coming out of the spoon curve is going to be very difficult. As you can see, Scornsey did hit that curb, and that car got sent for quite the wiggle. Let's see if we're able to hold on to it here. Scornsey, I thought, was going to have a look into the triangle, but decides not to. So I think for the most part, everybody's going to stay kind of the same. Oh, I tell you what was that there? It's Electric Blade side by side with Scavney. And Scavney's managed to get around the right side, and now Electric Blade was side by side with Fireballer there for a second, but Fireballer's managed to get that spot. As it looks like, oh, I think something's happened here. Edwin's gone off. Scott Palmer is now at second. Scornsey has taken the lead of the Grand Prix. And I'm not rightly sure what happened there as NLR Mackey retires, that being in the pits, thankfully. But I am very concerned as to what's happened there between Scott Palmer and that of Edwin. How much, if any, front wing is Edwin missing? Has he just missed the braking zone and gotten into the back of the car? That's what I'm guessing has happened. Although no front wing damage to report on the Mercedes. But what a turn of events that was, as we're now along with Aero Racing Design, who's to the back of Callie Robb here. Breathing down the neck of the Ferrari, Callie Robb has managed to stay out of trouble. He's held position on the opening lap so far. Everybody else is either up or down in some fashion. Scornsey has taken the top spot. Scott Palmer has lost it somehow out of all of that. We don't quite know what. Edwin down 8, Fireballer down 1, Nicky down 1, and Lancey down 14, and Mackey has not finished the Grand Prix. Race day here. Might come to battle here with his teammate of Posh Josh, who currently occupies the 5th spot. I wouldn't advise the battle between these two, but, you know, if it has to happen, it will. Both of these drivers have done exceptionally well so far this season. Oh, Posh Josh really almost lost the car there. He's done well to hold on. That one did get quite hairy for a second, as it looks like Scornsey has set the fastest lap of the session so far. Callie Robb within 0.4 of a second. On Scott Palmer, we have a yellow flag towards the back. Kate Thomas has lost it down the pit straight somewhere. Yes, he has. An Electric Blade is in the wall as well, and he's gotten a 5-second penalty for the collision with Cake. And that is coming out of the final corner down the pit straight. Something has happened between these two, and I'm thinking we have a safety car on track, yes. Well, we went along with Electric Blade there. At the tail end of that, he was parked up against the wall on the inside of the track, and Cake Thomas was stranded in the middle of the pit straight, minus a front wheel. Yikes. Not a very ideal start to the session there, as Electric Blade, now along with his 5-second penalty, now picks up a drive-through for speeding into the safety car, trying to get caught back up to the tail end of the queue here. I think we're a bit early for pit stops still, as Electric Blade is that 2 drive-throughs now? Because that message has come across my screen twice. So maybe he picked up 2 different drive-through penalties. I suppose he's under the safety car, no better time to serve them, and he doesn't look like he's got... Well, there's another one. I'm not rightly sure if this is a game mistake or if he's truly earning those penalties. I have no idea, to be honest with you. And, well, there you go, Electric Blade. The game has disqualified him from the session for receiving multiple penalties. That doesn't look right to me. So I'm not quite sure if those penalties have been warranted. He did catch up to the tail end of the grid quite fast, I'll give it that. But to pick up 3 or 4 of those drive-through penalties in one go, yeah, that's a little odd. That's a little odd, has to be said. Can I just check the Discord to see if anything's happened? Electric Blade is now typing into the Discord. Let's see what he says. Cake Thomas saying he doesn't have the best of luck in the rain. Well, I can't personally attest to if that's true or not, but if he thinks it's true, I'm certainly not going to argue with him because his day is coming to an end quite quickly. I'm thinking we're not going to have long under the safety car here. Electric Blade saying a series of dumb decisions from him, apologizing to Cake, so yeah, I don't know. I wish we got a look at the incident there because down the pit straight, something has definitely gone wrong. It looks like Cake saying tricky conditions, thought he had him cleared, so maybe just, you know, mutual trying to race for position and someone, unfortunately, well, actually, in fact, both of them now out of the session, so I think, yeah, I don't know. As Cake Thomas now leaving the session, we're just waiting for Lancey to catch back up to the grid here, although I'm confused as to why Lancey's so far back. Has he pit? Yes, he has. Maybe did he... Because he did have... Remember, he had damage from the earlier incident with... Was it Gunner? I don't remember who it was, actually. Let's see. Who... Can we look at the positions gained and lost? Maybe was it... Edwin? Maybe was it Mackey? I'm not quite sure. Maybe Mackey, actually, yeah. But remember, we were looking to see if he had damage from that incident. We didn't see any. But maybe Lancey has thought differently. Maybe there was. But either way, he's going to be on the fresh intermediate tires, so he'll be good. Well, it's going to depend on how long the safety car stays out, because mind you, those intermediates realistically, I think 15 laps is really the point at which you're going to see them start to come in, as here comes Nicky into the pits now. I think it's going to depend on how many safety cars and how long they last. Oh, so this is interesting. Nicky 64, I think, might be sharing a pit stall with one of the Ferrari teams, because as you can see there, that's a group of red men has come out of that garage and has gone to attend to Nicky 64's Alpine. So that may solve one mystery. Nicky 64 shares a pit box with one of the Ferrari drivers. Whether it's that of Cali Robb, or who was the other Ferrari that we were looking at? It's either Cali Robb or Scavney. That is a good question. Lancey, we knew had the... It was either Lancey or Shariah we knew had the pit stall down at the front of the pit lane. As we saw the front wing was Miami Red Bull colored, as I believe is Shariah also using that. Yes, he is. So Shariah also using the Miami Red Bull livery and sporting a Ferrari helmet. Mixed colors from Shariah. Anyway, so Scornsey leads the grid here behind the safety car. I would assume it might come in this lap. The grid looks like it's caught up to itself here. Still wondering what happened between between Gott Palmer and that of Edwin. We saw at least Edwin off the track through the first corner. And Gott Palmer was slow enough to lose the spot to Scornsey, so I'm not quite sure what's happened. We will be having the safety car in this lap. Gott Palmer in behind here. He's going to be looking to get that top spot back. Let's see how well Scornsey can work this safety car restart here. As we can see, the grid getting ready to go here as they make their way into the KCO Triangle to start the 6th lap of the Grand Prix. Lots of drama here in the early goings already. Let's see how much more we can get in this race as we're back on the green flag. Scornsey leads the grid quite nicely. It looks like Aero Racing Design really hot on the heels of Cali Robb here. Although I don't think he's going to be close enough into that first corner to make anything happen. Although I tell you what, Cali Robb went deep into the corner. I think Aero Racing Design was looking for the move then. Wasn't able to find it. The two Haas drivers of Posh, Josh, and Race Day still holding position here. Doing quite well, the both of them, to maintain the pace while not fighting each other. Very nicely done. It looks like Gunnar, Addy, and Fireball were side by side there for a minute, and Fireball has fallen back down to P14. Now finds himself under pressure from the Dutchman Lancey. I tell you what, I think Lancey might get the spot here. He's looking for it through the Dunlop curves. This is a gutsy place to make the move. To the inside he goes. Contact being made. And I tell you what, There was definitely contact there, but I think they might want to go get themselves some lottery tickets, because to make contact in that section of the track and come out unscathed, well, I say unscathed, I'm not quite sure, but I tell you what, neither of them have hit anything except each other, and it doesn't look as if they have damage. So, count your blessings where you can. Posh Josh has gone wide, and I think Race Day wanted to check down to the inside, but he wasn't able to because Posh Josh rejoined the track. Oh, I tell you what, has to be said, I think Posh Josh really might be holding up Race Day here. I think Race Day is doing very well to not, get too gutsy here versus his teammate. Because at least through that third sector, Posh Josh was definitely slower than Race Day. But maybe perhaps now can they re-go, as Aero Racing Design was looking down to the inside of Cali Robb within the slipstream here of the Ferrari as they head down the pit straight. Who's going to have the better line? It looks like Aero Racing Design was trying to tuck to the outside, but Cali Robb was able to cut off the move and holds the position for now. But now will they be side by side through the S's? This one's going to be dangerous here. Aero Racing Design side by side with Cali Robb here. Maybe some contact on the wheels, but nothing much to send either car spinning as Aero Racing Design nearly goes into the grass and makes the move happen. Unbelievable move from Aero Racing Design. There's a reason he's second in points. I think I got that right. And if I did, he absolutely deserves to be there. Yeah, Aero Racing Design second in points, as we mentioned before. And it's things like that, moves like that, that absolutely make him deserve to be in that spot. That was brilliant. But here's Race Day into the grass that time. Now pulling the dive on his teammate. The two Haas drivers hitting wheels then. And Race Day has to be frustrated now. Man, this is going to get spicy here. It already is. As we look back, GSR Edwin trying to perhaps pull up to Scavney here, although not really in position quite yet. Man, oh man, first of all, brilliant overtake from Aero Racing Design, forcing Cali Robb down to fourth. But it has to be said, Race Day here. Oh man, I don't know where he's lost the time now, because he was right close. I think through Sector 2 that time. Posh Josh may have been genuinely quicker. Race Day hanging it down to the inside of the track. We'll check with that in a minute. But here is Cali Robb trying to get down to the inside of Aero Racing Design. They'll be wheel-to-wheel into the first corner. Do they make it through alive? Aero Racing Design will have better traction on the outside, and he'll be able to maintain that position. Great defending that time. Cali Robb, good effort. Nearly made it happen, as it looks like Lancey and Nikki 64 swapping positions back in towards turn 1. Race Day 2016 still camped out behind his teammate Posh Josh here. Oh, I tell you what, he's got to be fuming, because he's had a couple instances now where I think the switch could have been made cleanly. I tell you what, into the Degners here. Edwin and Scavney were side by side momentarily, as it looks like the move still hasn't been made. Race Day looking for something here, and Posh Josh just refuses to get out of the way. Race Day's gonna have to send it round the outside and then perform the switchback on his teammate. This is incredible stuff. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen two teammates battle like this when they weren't fighting for a championship, and look at that again. Posh Josh just does not want his teammate to come through, as Cali Robb has gone slow ahead of him, and now we'll back up Posh Josh here out of the spoon curve. They're going to be side by side through 130R. Oh, this is going to end well. Side by side they go, wheel to wheel, contact being made. Cali Robb went into the grass. Posh Josh was able to hold on to the car. I think, is Race Day going to get at least one of them? No, he won't. Cali Robb stays down to the inside. Contact made, still wheel to wheel. And then finally Race Day gets the spot, and now does he perhaps have an opportunity to get around his teammate? As we have a yellow flag, that's a backup at the Casio Triangle. It looks as if Helgelin has had himself a spin there, and then another. We'll go back up to the battle here. Cali Robb still within striking distance of the two Haas cars, who have been battling it out the entirety of this green flag stretch. I tell you what, Posh Josh really falling back of Aero Racing Design now. He was within a second and a half just a couple of laps ago, now finds himself almost outside of 2.5 seconds. This is detrimental to both cars here. Well, that was a bit slipped there from Posh Josh, and finally, to the mistake of Posh Josh. Oh, and I tell you what, well, Posh Josh has rejoined the circuit and has accidentally collected that of GSR Edwin in the Mercedes. Well, that was an abrupt and interesting end to, I tell you what, one of the more interesting and entertaining battles I've seen. Because again, you just simply don't see teammates battle it out like that. The only other time I can remember a pair of teammates battling like that was in Division 2 back in season, was it 2 or 3, where two Williams teammates were fighting for the championship lead with 2 rounds to go. At Silverstone, no less. It was beautiful battles between those two. But they were fighting for a common goal there, which was the Drivers' Championship. Those two, realistically, didn't have anything to gain from battling that long. Yeah, I hope cooler heads prevail, but I tell you what, if I'm race day 2016, I will have been quite disheartened from having to battle your teammate like that. But he finds himself in the 4th spot. Now it feels like we have a second to breathe. Looking a little bit further back here, it looks like Houdini is on his way to Scavney here. 0.4 of a second in closing. Looks like we do have a close battle between Nicky and Lancey. Lancey's had himself really not that good of a Grand Prix so far. He had the incident earlier on with Mackie on one of the opening laps, which really, I think, ruined what was going to be perhaps a great day for both of them. As we look now, Edwin and Shariah, Red Bull versus Mercedes. How many times have we seen this battle in real life? And it's down to 0.2 of a second between the two of them as they make their way through the spoon curve. Let's see how bad these curves are. Oh, yeah, well, there you go. Edwin slips. Well done by Edwin to keep control of the car after hitting the apex curb there. But I'll tell you what, that car was going to be sent for a spin, and he's done well to hold on. A little bit of glitch there. Into the Casio triangle they go. Looks as if Edwin's actually got him matched for pace at the moment. Who gets the better exit? It looks as if Edwin's really going to put Shariah under pressure here, very much within striking distance. Down the pit straight they go. P6 and P7, as it looks like behind, Scavney and Posh Josh battling for position here. Oh, and contact being made, and Posh Josh going wide. As it looks like Nicky's gotten around Gunner. Oh, and Posh Josh spins it round. Not before picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, and he's stranded in the middle of the track, and now retires from the session on track. And I'm hoping that doesn't bring out a safety car, because if it does, that is a huge no-no in the first place for retiring on track. But I've seen cars even retire in the pits, come out on track here, and bring out a safety car, but it looks as if we're going to be okay for now. As back to this battle between Edwin and Coleslaw, which hasn't found its end yet. Still really close between these two. I'm actually quite impressed with the quality of racing so far here in Division 1. Of course, it's easy to be impressed with Division 1, but still, as it looks like Nicky has traded places with Lancey there. Oh boy. Have I lagged out? Yep, I think I have. I think I've lagged out here, is the answer to that question. Well, as it turns out, I wasn't the only person to experience that glitch, as I think it's gone down for race day and Scavney as well. Huh. Ugh. This game really just, I mean, we had such a thing. Honestly, we should just go back to 2020. Everything was so much better in the 2020 and the 2020 and 2021. New 25% race from what we already had. We were about halfway through, so 25% race would be you know, realistic. But my God. I tell you what, despite how bad of a game 2022 was, it never had this many lobby glitches, and it never had this many problems that didn't get resolved, or new problems being brought out. We'll be back! So believe it or not, yet again, we're having to restart this lobby here that was before halfway in the Grand Prix. So we're doing a 25% race to end it here. But the good news is that it's only a 13-lap race. We're on the intermediate tires. I believe under the wet conditions, you are not mandated to make a pit stop at any point. So we may just have ourselves a flat-out race to the finish here in Division 1. But I gotta say, man, it's current time on the East Coast here is 10:43 at night. The F1 free practice session has already started. Watched a little bit of that as we were getting the lobby reset. I'll give you an update on how that's going at the moment if I can get in without leaving the session because of lag. Currently, as it stands, Verstappen leads Piastri by 8.5 tenths with 46 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the first practice session. I hope we don't need to do another formation lap. That would be not that fun. That would be unideal, but I'm kind of glad, has to be said. You know, it could have been worse. I'm actually, as far as me personally, I'm glad that it wasn't just me that lagged out. Because I tell you what, I lagged out there. And I was quite upset, really, because we were having some brilliant racing. And I'm sure with what the drivers that we have left here, and the remaining amount of laps we're going to have left, this is going to be just as good as racing. Because I tell you what, we're going to have another grid start here. It's going to be brilliant. It's like a red flag restart to the race. And I think that's going to be a good opportunity to get some second chances for some of those guys that, you know, qualified in a good position, didn't have a good start to the race. I'm thinking of Lancey. I'm thinking of GSR Edwin. I'm thinking of, see, Callie Robert just recently got into the incident with Race Day's teammate of Posh Josh, so he would have dropped some spots. I believe Got Palmer as well. So I tell you what, assuming Got Palmer gets a good start off the line here, assuming he's still residing in the second position, you know, the pole position slot is on the left-hand side of the track, on the outside line going into the first corner. And it will be formation lap here. So this is the grid. This is what we have left. We started with 20. We lost 5 through DNFs, through a couple of crashes. That including Electric Blade, Cake Thomas, Mackie, Posh Josh, and one other who I'm forgetting at this moment in time. So this is what we have left. Scornsey started second. Started 4th, actually, I believe. Got Palmer started on pole, had a great beginning to the race, had an incident with who was it? With Edwin. Edwin was second on the grid, finds himself 7th to start this race. Once again, we're on the intermediate tires. Should be flat-out intermediates to the end here. No need for a pit stop in the wet conditions. I believe that's the rule. So as we're on the formation lap here, for what has been probably the longest Division 1 race I've ever casted. I've had a couple of these before. Yeah, see, there you go. No stop required. I've had a couple of long ones like this before, but this one might take the cake here. But I tell you what, though, I'm not minding it. This is not bad. We've had some great action up and down the grid the whole race. Getting to the point, I finished. What big water bottle is this? 2 500 milliliter bottles of water. And a bottle of Angry Orchard as well. I mean, it's a good night for me. Nothing better. Nothing better. Nothing else I'd rather be doing here on Thursdays. As the grid forming back up here. Man. Tell you what, look at, let's see how they line up here. Look at Aero Racing Design really trying to shoot the gap and go for broke between Scornsy and Gott Palmer here. And once again, Scornsy's going to need to get away well. He's on the outside looking into the first corner. That part is definitely for sure. Lights turning back on here for the second time in Japan at Suzuka. And once again, they are off. Now, who got the better start? I tell you what, Aero Racing Design, I think he's gotten away pretty okay. He goes down, covers the inside of Race Day 2016. He'll have the inside line. I think he's going to get past Gott Palmer. Scornsy rides off into the distance. And now Aero Racing Design, currently second in the championship, is battling here alongside Gott Palmer, and he's going to go up into the second spot. That was a great start from the Alpine, and Gott Palmer now, once again on the back foot, and now will be looking to hold off Race Day, who looks to the inside. Through the end of the S's into the Dunlop curve they go. That was going to be a very close place, very dangerous to make that move happen, and now, as we make the way into the Degners, it looks like everything has once again gotten away all right, but we'll have to wait and see if anybody decides to make that move into the hairpin. If you're going to make a move, this is where you're going to make it here. As we look and see, it doesn't look as if anybody's going to go gutsy here. Although it looks like around the outside, Cali Robb, I believe he's side-by-side there. Sorry, that's Scavney, who was side-by-side momentarily with, I believe it was Houdini or Edwin, one of the two, but either way, it looks like he's held position, and the only 4 people to move any positions on this grid. Aero Racing Design takes the spot from Palmer, VTech takes the spot from Gunner. As it looks like now everything is kind of, sort of sorted out here. 0.3 of a second separate Edwin from Coleslaw. This one's going to get close here shortly. I can tell Cali Robb really starting to put the pressure on Race Day. 0.2 of a second or less into the corner they go. I tell you what, I thought Shariah Coleslaw was going to miss it there for a second. That got really close. In fact, Shariah Coleslaw, I don't think got a good go through the Casio triangle, as now, down to the inside, Edwin's going to look for it. Yellow flag somewhere about the back. It's VTech in the Alfa Romeo. Unfortunately, has gone round through the final corner. Down to the inside looks Edwin on that of Shariah. Does he have it? Not yet, but he's still there, still side by side, and it looks as if somehow Shariah Coleslaw is going to keep that Red Bull ahead of the Mercedes. Very nicely done between the both of them to keep that one clean, because yet again that was a gutsy place to go side by side. Scornsy, for the most part so far, has rode off into the distance here, 1.5 seconds the gap between himself and Aero Racing Design, who really did well to take that second spot, but now has to find a way to make up some ground on Scornsy, because now Scornsy's gained 0.2, 0.3 from me starting the sentence. And now Race Day maybe was trying to get a look around Gott Palmer there, didn't really have the opportunity. Although, 0.2 of a second the gap between these two. Tell you what, I think Aero Racing Design may have gone into the grass there. And now, here's Gott Palmer looking forward on Aero Racing Design. He doesn't have it, but that was quite the mistake from Aero. It's opened the door for Gott Palmer, but Aero looks like he's going to hold on for now. Still some brilliant racing here amongst the Division 1 grid. As Race Day peeks his head into this battle, he's not going to really have an opportunity to overtake unless he decides to go gutsy here into the Casio Triangle or into the first corner. The Buzzin' corner, as it's going to be called in real life now that Sebastian Vettel has placed beehives there. As Race Day down to the inside, as he got the move on Palmer, they're going to be side by side, down the pit straight, really close quarters between these two. Hopefully it gets sorted out in time. Screen glitches a little bit, and Race Day is going to pull ahead. Well, Race Day has done well, but I'm wondering if Gott Palmer also felt that screen little glitch flickering that we had there. I'm wondering if that was just me, because Gott Palmer was in position to defend quite well, and I'm afraid he's lost the spot to Race Day. How legitimately it was, I'm not sure, because, you know, again, I'm wondering if we also the drivers suffered the frame rate loss as well. Houdini has 0.2 of a second on Lancey here for the 9th spot. Meanwhile ahead, Race Day putting the pressure on Aero Racing Design. We're going to go along with that because that battle within 0.3 of a second here for the 2nd spot. And still not really getting any closer to Scornsy. Scornsy's starting, well, I would say he's pulling away, but he's actually held quite stagnant here since the last lap. It was 2.3 seconds after Aero Racing Design had his mistake. Now it looks as if it's staying quite the same. Scavney really close to Edwin here, as Lancey really close to Scavney. It's about a 4-car battle here. Down to the inside looks Houdini. Are they going to be side by side through 130R? That's going to go well. It looks like Race Day is taking the 2nd spot from Aero Racing Design. I think that one was through 130R, and they're still battling here. How am I missing this? Well, I tell you what, it looks like Aero Racing Design has lost the spot to Race Day. Tell you what, hats off to Race Day. As much as I hate having moves be made while I'm not on camera with him, that just tells you how good of a move it was. Because it didn't seem to me like Aero Racing Design was going to be in position to make that happen, as Lancey tries to hang around the outside of the... it is Lancey trying to go around the outside of Scavney here. And I think he's going to make it happen. Yes, very nicely done from Lancey. Brilliant maneuver, that. So with 10 laps to go here, 9.5 probably at this point. It looks like, I think Scavney's going to lose another one here to Houdini up the inside through the Dunlop curve. Yeah, side by side still. 1/10 of a second separating two and Nicky in this as well. 3-car battle here for the 9th spot, as now Houdini drops back about a second behind to Lancey. And I tell you what, we're going to have Edwin on Coleslaw one more time. As we saw then, Nicky and Scavney nearly both lost the car coming out of the 2nd Degner and under the bridge. That one got quite hairy for the both of them, but they were able to hold on. As 0.2 of a second separates Edwin and Coleslaw here. These two have been battling it out since the restart of this race. And I tell you what, Edwin's in a Red Bull sandwich here because he's got Lancey behind him and Coleslaw ahead of him. I'm wondering what happens here. Lancey's going to look for the outside through 130R. Edwin ducks out of line to try to see when the braking zone was coming up there. As into the Casio Triangle they goes. Lancey's gone deep, and so is Edwin. Edwin's had to kind of wiggle the car to scrub off speed because he was definitely going to run into the back of Shariah here. As Lancey down to the inside, I think he's going to be able to make this one happen. Yes, he will, but more importantly, for the 3rd spot, it's Aero Racing Design under pressure here from Gott Palmer, as I think, for the time being, yes, Aero Racing Design is able to hold on. Well, Lancey was able to, Lancey did get around Edwin, and then for a moment there, we had Houdini and Scavney were side by side going into the first corner. So much action happening here in Division 1. This is brilliant stuff. And now the two Red Bull drivers once again right up close to each other here. As we're about halfway through, almost about halfway through this 25% race to determine the Japanese Grand Prix winner here in Division 1. As now, look at this, Edwin to the right side, into the hairpin on Lancey here. Round the outside looks the Mercedes. Does he have the traction to pull it off? No, he doesn't. Great effort, but I'm afraid it's not come to fruition there for Edwin. Really good attempt. But for now, the Red Bulls stay ahead of the Mercedes. Looks like Cali Robier trying to pressure Palmer. Palmer's had a, very not good restart to this race in his eyes, as he's lost an extra 2 spots in a race that I think he was initially on pace to win in the first lobby. He had pole position. Granted, it was only by 0.8 of a second, but still, he got away to a great start, and then suddenly a great start it was no more, as Gott Palmer now was trying to look to the left side on Aero Racing Design. Aero's done a good job defending, but now it's going to be side by side. Down the pit straight they go, with the two Red Bulls are going to be side by side behind them as well. Into the first corner. Oh, I tell you what, Aero Racing Design has just squeaked past on the outside, and I think he's going to be able to hold on to it for one more lap, as the two Red Bulls have held position there. Oh, no, actually, I'm sorry. Lancey has gotten around Shariah. So you remember earlier on, Race Day was battling with Posh Josh there for the better part of 5 laps. As, side by side here. Oh, that one's gotten close. Shariah, I think, had a little bit of a hesitation getting back on the throttle. The back end of the car almost came round, and that would have collected GSR Edwin. But thankfully, it looks like everybody's kept okay as Scott Palmer once again side by side with Aero Racing Design here. He's got the outside in the hairpin, and now Callie Robb in on this battle as well. We got a three-car battle for the third spot, as now Callie Robb to the right side past Aero Racing Design. Does he have it? I think he may. Yes, he does. What a battle this, and, well, Aero Racing Design not long ago had the third spot. He's down to fifth now. Brilliant battling here. Oh, that was a big wiggle there. He's going to have to hold on, and thankfully he does. But that one's going to drop him back another 5-6 tenths of a second there, as now Edwin within 2 tenths of a second on Shariah as they make their way to 130R here. We got a whole conundrum of cars looking to get in on this battle. Never mind, Nikki 64 trying to get in on this as well. Oh, I tell you what, are they able to go through the chicane well? I tell you what, they've done well to not accordion effect into the corner, because that one would have gotten hairy quite quickly. And oh, by the way, Gunner and VTech are in on this as well. Why not? But for the moment, let's peek our heads once again on Callie Robb, trying to get past Scott Palmer. It looks like Ray at the tail end of the grid has picked up 3 seconds of time penalty. And I think he's picked that up at the final chicane there. Edwin now, 2 tenths of a second on Shariah through the S's. Oh, I tell you what, this is getting dangerous here, Goose. Oh, does he hold on? I saw that flick of oversteer coming from some time, and Nikki is retired. And the safety car on track at the death. And Nikki has lost the car going over the Dunlop curve. Oh, and, you know, they were battling so well, that group of cars, for the longest of times. And I'm afraid at some point a mistake was bound to happen from someone. And no matter who made the mistake, it has resulted in the Alpine of Nikki 64 retiring from the session. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. I didn't see. Was it his own fault? Did someone hit him? Very unfortunate for him. It was really good battling, and he was doing well to get into the mix for that as well. And now Scornsey. The safety car will come out on track. They'll pick it up on the 8th lap. And they'll have 6 laps to go this time by. So the safety car will pick up the corners, pick up the cars before the S-curves here. Looks like a good group of cars coming in. Houdini, Fireballer, Gunner, VTech, all choosing to make a stop. Ray's going to pick up some spots here. My only concern is, will they have enough time to get back to the safety car queue? As I would have to assume, with how little race time we have left here, this safety car is going to be in probably at the tail end of this lap. Scavney catches the tail end of the grid now. The top 9 file in behind the safety car. As Ray 10th, 11th Houdini, 12th Fireballer, 13th Gunner, 14th VTech. The gap from Ray back to Scavney still hanging about 15 seconds. I think Ray might be able to catch up, but the rest of them, I think everybody on back's going to be in quite some trouble here. I'm not even sure why they've decided to pit. Did they have damage? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. That fresh intermediates to 7-lap-old intermediates. I mean, is there really that much degradation to where pitting was going to be the right choice? Yeah, I don't know. That looks like a mistake to me, but then again, I'm the one in the commentary booth and not out on track. And if I was on track, I tell you what, I'd probably be about 5 laps down. These guys are so unbelievably talented and quick. Not to mention clean and respectful as well here in Division 1. as it looks like the safety car will not make its way in this lap, much to the chagrin of probably Scornsy here. Or, well, probably Race Day, to be fair, because Race Day is going to have the work to do. I think Scornsy has absolutely nailed the other safety car restart, as well as the race restart at the beginning of this 13-lap shootout. So Race Day, he's going to be in the hot seat here. Gott Palmer has done well to regain his podium that he did have, and then was placed under threat by both Cali Robb and then Arrow. Mickey 64. Well, I don't think I can say either of the words he said on air, but I bet you can take at least 2 guesses as to how unhappy he is. So unfortunate for him. Just a quick reminder that despite only winning 2 races so far this season, Scornsy is the championship leader. He's won 2 out of the last 4, the other 2 being claimed by Race Day. And Race Day, not to mention having 4 wins on the season, most of any driver. Just wondering what else has happened with Race Day that he's not leading this championship. But again, this is like only my first race here in Division 1 in a while. So believe me, these storylines are quite new to me, to be right fair. I would assume the safety car is going to be in this lap. Just a quick reminder, coming up in the next couple of weeks, Brazil, Qatar, Bahrain, the final 3. What a climactic end of this season we'll have. And now, we're looking for a climactic end of this race as Scornsy. Well, he's nailed the last safety car restart. He's nailed the race restart. Let's see if he gets another one here. As he's going to be under some pressure from Race Day and Gott Palmer. And Race Day has looked quite flawless, but I tell you what, I think he may have been a little bit slow going up through the gears there. And Scornsy starts to pull away. We're back under green. As I tell you what, I don't think Cali Robb's gotten a good start. He's really under pressure from Aero Racing Design. Look at Gott Palmer. I think he was looking for it there on Race Day. Didn't really get a chance. Off towards the back. I think someone's gone wide. Edwin's picked up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. I think contact was made there with someone. Scavney falling back places now. Only 0.3 of a second between Scornsy and Race Day. 4 laps to go right now. 3.5, you know, whatever you want to say. And we've got 1/4 of a second between the top 2. Scornsy's got to lead in this championship. Race Day looking to claim his 5th win of the season. Let's just wait and see how this race ends. Gott Palmer really kind of falling behind these top 2. Race Day wanted to have a look around the outside. Didn't get a chance to make it happen. Shariah side by side with Edwin here. Contact made. Shariah's going to fall out of line. Yeah, I tell you what, I think that one may have been a racing incident. Nothing really egregious between the 2 of them. Hard racing between those 2. And I'm afraid Shariah really got the short end of the stick there, because it didn't really look as if Edwin's done anything wrong. Although, mind you, Edwin's got a penalty coming up here to serve. No, he's got a 3-second, hasn't he? Yeah, well, you know what I mean. So, 3 laps to go this time by. Race Day's held on pretty well, although Scornsy has pulled about 0.3 of a second on him. And I think in the straight line, Scornsy definitely has the advantage. And oh, by the way, that straight line speed means a lot on this track, because really the 2 best places to overtake is here into the first corner and then through 130R and then into the hairpin as well, all where straight line speed comes into play. But I think this first sector is where Race Day has the advantage. It'll be a tough chore for Race Day if he wants to make this win happen, but I think he just may be able to make it happen. As it stands as well, Cali Robb trying to pressure Gott Palmer here. Aero Racing Design tucking his head into this battle as well. Looks like Houdini looking to potentially overtake VTech. That battle's within a couple of tenths as we look now. Race Day, 2.5 tenths here on Scornsy. Into the hairpin they go. Race Day tried it around the outside last time. The back end of the car slips away from him, and that may hurt him. And then he struggles to get back up to speed, and now I think Scornsy may pull away. Well, Race Day was doing really well there on the way into the hairpin. I think he locked up the rears on the entry, and then exiting the corner, the car really got out of shape, and he's lost a lot of time now. And coming up on 2 laps to go, I tell you what, Race Day, I think his best opportunities may have been behind him. Kelly Robb here within 0.3 of a second on Gott Palmer. Into the KCO Triangle they go. 2 laps to go here in Division 1. I tell you what, I think this battle for the podium here really might get spiced up here because Gott Palmer, I think, has really, considering how good of a start to the race he was off to, the initial start, I think if he doesn't finish on the podium, this day is going to be a disappointment for him. That has to be said. I think, at least in his eyes, he's going to be wishing he had more. But for the time being, he still has the ability to finish on the podium. Race Day's pulled back about 0.2 of a second on Scornsy here through the first sector. Edwin still trying to chase down Lancey here. It looks like Fireballer now trying to sneak past Shariah Coleslaw, and VTech in on this as well. Into the Degners they go, and I think Race Day has lost even more time, now down 1 3/4, almost 2 seconds. Looking in towards the hairpin here. Does anybody have a move? It looks like Fireballer tries to go down the inside. I think Fireballer may have hit Shariah into the line of VTech because VTech has gone into the back of the Red Bull, and now I think he may be missing wing. Because side by side here go Shariah and Fireballer. They're still side by side. Callie Robb falling down the order significantly. Shariah's been pushed out of line. Fireballer gets the spot, but Shariah gets demoted down to P12 to no fault of his own, I don't think. Oh man, this has been that is a wild end of this race for sure, and I'm just wondering what's happened to Callie Robb because he has very much fallen down the order. He was within 0.4 of a second of Gott Palmer just a lap ago, and now as we start the final lap of the Grand Prix, finds himself P7. Lancey, I think, was trying to have a look at Aero Racing Design there, wasn't really close enough to make it happen. Look a little bit further back. I tell you what, Gunnar was really, I think, trying to make a look at having that move happen, but he's not been able to. Aero Racing Design within 0.3 of a second. Oh, but by the way, Houdini and VTech side by side here into the S's, and Houdini comes away with that one. But Aero Racing Design here within 0.4 of a second of the podium. Race Day, I think, has done all he can, but finds himself outside nearly 1.5 seconds, although it looks like he's starting to close, but I think he's run out of time. I think it may have been just one too many mistakes from Race Day, and oh, by the way, he only made about 1 or 2 mistakes. And by the way, I wouldn't even really call them mistakes, really. I mean, the first one definitely is he's locked up the brakes going into the hairpin, but he was able to hold on to the car nicely. Because I tell you what, Scornsy now almost 1 second. Scornsy is kind of losing time here, has to be said. Aero Racing Design, 0.3 of a second. He's got just this straight left to get around Gott Palmer. It's 0.3 of a second. Scornsy and Race Day heading into the final chicane now. And it looks as if, is Aero Racing Design going to try it? Yes, he is! Oh, and Aero Racing Design, the back end's going to get away from him. They're going to be side by side. Scornsy's going to win the Grand Prix. Race Day second. I'm more interested in this. They're side by side at the line, and Gott Palmer's going to sneak away with the podium. And Callie Robb ends up getting around Edwin with the penalties applied. But it is Scornsy taking the win of the Japanese Grand Prix. Race Day did all he could. Oh, Gunnar's lost the car coming out of the final corner. Race Day's done really good. He's done his best. Gott Palmer comes away with third. Aero Racing Design gets the spot over Lancey. Does it? He misses out on the podium spot by 7/100ths of a second. What a Grand Prix then. Well, after it's all said and done here in Japan, Scornsey claims his third win out of the last 5 races. The driver who took the other 2 race day finishes second. Gottbalmer holds on to third. Aero Racing Design battled hard, but ends up only 7/100ths of a second short of the podium. Finishes 4th. Lancey 5th. 6th. Callie Robb. 7th. Edwin. 8th. Fireballer. 9th. B-Tech. 10th. Houdini. 11th. Scavney. 12th. Shiraya. 13th. Ray Ray. 14th. Gunner. And unfortunately for Gunner and Nikki, they did not finish the Grand Prix. Them and 5 others from the initial grid. And next week we head to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache for the 13th round of the Midwest F1 season, Season 10 Hotspot. It's been a pleasure rejoining you here in Division 1. We'll see you next week.